Hello, and welcome to Session Share, the Coaches Podcast. My name's Craig Birtwistle, and I'm excited to have Rod Wilhelm. Rod is a coach that is passionate about supporting players. He's coached on 3 different continents with a UEFA C and a National B concacaf in progress. He has dedicated a YouTube channel like Session Share in helping coaches worldwide with their session plans. How are you doing today, Rod?
Hello, my friend. Thanks for the invitation and happy to be here. When it's about talking about football, I'm always here. So, I'm really good.
100%. You're a man after my own heart, talking football at all times. So Rod, tell us a little bit about your background. What got you interested in football?
That's interesting because when I was young, of course, in France, the number one sport is football, as many countries. But my family wasn't so into football. I think I'm the only one that was really passionate about football. I don't know how it came. So I play football since I was like, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 years old. Different teams, different environment, different position on the field. And it came like this, and slowly but surely, like I was like always playing football, watching football, learning, reading books. And it came like this, really. It's not like my whole family was watching football with me, every day. I was almost alone, and I just like took the time to think about football and to learn about football. And yeah, here I am.
Fantastic. And when you like basically understood that you knew the game and you liked the game and everything, did you find like socially that helped you? Did you meet friends via football?
I think that's one of the pillar. Everywhere I went to make friends, it's like it was about sports. It was about football. I knew that when I was my first experience abroad was in Sweden, and I think the first day I arrived, I was like, okay, you know what? I will just try to find the spot to play football. If it's not a club, I will just go and see around if they have a pitch and try to see if somebody's playing. So for me, it was almost like a social connection, about like football. It's not just, hey, you play the game, you win 3 points, you lose 0 point. It was more about the social, I think, the social connection and the partnership that you can have with people. And since then, it worked really well wherever I went.
That's awesome. And looking at the intro that I wrote at the beginning of this show,
Hmm.
I love the fact that you've been able to travel so much with coaching the game. So, has that been like a motivation in your career? Like, what has motivated you in football?
Uh, I remember when I was at school and the teacher was always telling you like, oh, what do you want to do? What's your job? So people, of course, in the past was like, oh, I want to be a professional footballer, this type of thing. Me, it wasn't a job. I remember I was like, oh, I want to travel. And the teacher was always telling me like, no, but travel to travel, it's not a real job. And I was like, yeah, but I want to travel. So it was a perfect connection between football and the traveling opportunity that I had since the beginning. Because wherever I went, like I told you, first thing it was like, okay, where is a football pitch? Where is a club where I can join, where I can register? Because that was like the direct connection for me. Like football. Okay, another country. Where I go to another country, I try to go and watch a game. The only thing I buy when I go abroad, it's a football shirt or something that is related to football. I have so many shirts that my wife, she's like, no, there is too many shirts. I have so it's a crazy collection. I think I can open a museum maybe one day. And yeah, it was always like football and travel was always connected and part of me since the beginning.
That's fantastic. And you've, as I say, we're speaking about you traveling around the world, getting to see lots of games, get to do a lot of practices, find the pitches at your local country and everything like that. With that being said, has those traveling around, seeing different qualities affected your philosophy? What is your coaching philosophy?
I like this question. For me, the coaching philosophy, it's really taking different ideas from different part of the world. Like I just came back from Brazil, like it was like 2 3 months ago, And one of my favorite coaches, Fernando Diniz, that was part of Fluminense. He was taking care of the national team of Brazil before and after he was with Cruzeiro. And for me, it was like, it's the type of philosophy with me. It's really like, I don't have one like, hey, you have to do this and let's do that. And that's my philosophy. You do it or you're not part of the team. Yeah, I really try to, how can I mention it, to really explore different strengths, different ideas from the different parts of the world where I went.
It's fantastic. And have you found any difficulties with that? Like we've had some like really established guests on recently that have talked about the importance of culture. And one thing that like keeps coming up is the fact that the nationality shapes your culture. The people within that culture shape it. With you taking little bits of each country and applying it to your own philosophy, if you will, and your coaching, because I've done the same as well. I've lived in England, I've lived in America, I traveled around Sweden. I've done all that as well. But have you found any issues that have come up in regards to that, or has it blended pretty well with your philosophy?
It's I will try to blend it from not country but more continents, and because I traveled a lot in South America, I was lucky, and I love this continent everywhere, and especially in North America. I know in USA, especially in the South, there is a big Latino community. In Canada too, but I know that, for example, if I have to coach a Latin player, I know that it will be like he will fight on the field. He will bring this type of anger. So that's really something that I'm looking for. And you have different other players, maybe Canadian or from USA, that there will be, they are here to learn. So they will be like just playing the game and be open minded because for them it's new. You will have people from Europe that they already know the game. So maybe you can maybe ask them to be like a mentor on the field and give some advice to those that they are just starting into the game. So I'm trying to do a melting spot of the different nationalities that I have, especially here in Canada, that we have people from all around the world, and that's really something that is beautiful. So yeah, I know that when I have somebody from South America, I'm always like thankful, because I know that with this type of player, he will bring this. I don't like to say grinta because it's not the right word, but he will bring this this hangerness on the field.
Fantastic. Rod, I want to continue this discussion. We're going to come back after a short break to talk more about coaching development and player development after a short message from Zencaster. Do you have a story to tell that the world needs to hear? Have you struggled with reaching new audiences who are engaged with your story? It might be time for you to start a podcast. Let me tell you about a platform we use here at Session Share. Zencaster makes it super easy to produce a high quality broadcast with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes ums, ahs, you knows, and 22 other speech patterns. Zencaster makes it super easy to produce a podcast that sounds great. Ready to tell your story? Check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencaster. Welcome back, and we're going to delve a little bit deeper into developing players, in particular players in Canada, which is where Rod is based. So, Rod, tell us a little bit about the issues you face on a day-to-day basis when coaching in Canada.
Yeah, Canada, I come from France, so it's really different. It's really different from the structure, from the philosophy. There are many things that they are really different from what I saw in France. And but that's the beauty too. In the same time, there is a lot to do here. It's not like you come and there is already a script, like almost like a white paper, and you have a lot of things to do. But here, of course, the main thing that I'm always trying to establish, it's really to bring this soccer culture, because here, they come on the field, they play, and that's it. They see you like the next day. So with me, when I come, especially when there is Champions League game or something like this, I'm trying to, hey guys, don't worry, don't forget this weekend there is Champions League game. And because our team is really focused on a specific tactic system, I tell them like, hey guys, watch the Atletico Madrid this weekend because that's really related to what we are trying to do, you know. So I'm trying to involve them into the game, not just on the field, but outside. You know, at this weekend, there is the Premier League that is back. There is the Spanish League. What did you think? What did you watch? And if they watch a game, I'm like, hey, okay, so what did you like? You know, did you see something special? So it's not just teaching them the football on the field, but really I would say the football culture outside of the field. You know, that's something that is still missing here because of course hockey is really important. They don't have maybe the channels that we have in Europe, you know, to watch football. So I'm trying to help them on this side. And of course, with the online session that I'm doing with them every week, there is always something related to the outside world of football, not just what we do on the field, but what the professional team are doing. You know, if there was the Champions League, the Liga, the Premier League. So it's really something that we have to teach them here. It's the culture of football outside of just playing football, you know, when they are with you and you coach them.
That's good stuff. How does the Canadian FA help you on a day-to-day basis, or is it something a kind of the lines of you're actually more comfortable doing what you do, or is the Canadian FA supporting you in any way?
It's to be honest, it's more on my side that I'm working on this. You know, it's not like, hey, by the way, guys, coaches, please help your team or players to do this and that. The same with the club. Yeah. For example, the online sessions that I'm doing, it was, you know, coming from my idea. It's not like, hey, by the way, you have to do a session with your player every week, or you have to talk about this, that, that. The system is this one. They give you some, I would say, some guidelines, but after it's up to you. If you are really into it, if you are really passionate, you will go 200%, 300%. If you want to do the strict minimum, maybe you will do, you know, talk with them just one time per month, and maybe you will not talk about anything else, and just focus on what happened on the field, what happened the last game you play against, you know, any team. So, I mean, there is no real support at this one. It's more like depending of the coaches and the clubs, how structured they are, and the philosophy that they have, I will say, behind it with the technical directors and everything.
Interesting. With like the knowledge that you have, the experience you have, who's been like your mentor? Who's offered you the best advice to get to where you were? Because you mentioned earlier the fact that your family didn't watch football. You kind of
Mm-hmm.
like got involved yourself, and then you made like friends within football. So who was like one of your mentors, and what great advice did they give you to help you get to where you are today?
That's a interesting question because, you know, mentor, like you mentioned, didn't have like a lot of talks in when I was younger and everything. It will be a funny answer. I think I have two mentors. It was Football Manager and Internet, to be honest. Because Football Manager, it's really something that I started with like long time ago. I was playing, I remember with a friend. He was taking Real Madrid. I was taking Valencia, and we were playing multiplayer during the whole night. We almost didn't sleep, and we were just playing, you know, the same Liga together. So Football Manager helped me with, you know, of course, it's not because you play Football Manager that after you're the best manager, but he helped me to, you know, manage a team, just simple stuff, and internet, of course, because I'm still learning every day. And, you know, I go and watch a podcast, read a book. If I can't read a book, I will just put it on Spotify, and it will be an audio book. I will, you know, it's taking, I'm trying to take the information from everywhere. And in the same time, sometimes I'm trying to select just the information because information comes from everywhere, especially in internet with Instagram, TikTok, X, just internet. So you're like, okay, oh, he's saying this. Oh, but the other guy talk about the same topic, but it's not saying the same thing. So who's wrong? Who's right? I'm just trying sometime. Okay, you know what? I stay on this channel, this one, this magazine, and this one, and that's it. Because after it's a stream of information that you can't, you know, at one point you burn out. You're like, okay, too many information, and new videos come every day, so really complicated to follow. So yeah, trying to like I mentioned, take 3, 4 channels from internet, from books, and from coaches. I don't have one that I took a little bit. I love, for example, Jurgen Klopp, how he talked with his team, Bielsa, for the passion and the analytics that he always had on the day, every day on the field and off the field. Fernando Diniz, like I mentioned, from Brazil, because he put back the relationism in front of everyone, and that's something that I trying to do with my teams. It takes more time because maybe with Pep Guardiola, and you're the left back and you go here and you can't go on the other side, etc., etc. I think many players here, they're like, oh, I'm striker, so I stay on top. That's it. Okay, that's my job. I don't have to drop on the field, and I wait for the ball. So the relationism is a little bit different, and it takes time, especially in a country like I mentioned, that doesn't have the same football culture as Brazil has, as Europe, as other countries or continent maybe they can have. But that's the idea too. You can see the progress too from A to Z. You're not starting like, oh, the team is already running well and they are winning every game and everything is fine. You don't have to do anything. You just sit and relax. I have to do everything from scratch almost. So I love it. It takes more time, more sacrifice too. But yeah, that's where we are.
I love that. I love in particular the fact that you mentioned like your hunger for learning. The fact that you'll listen to a podcast, you'll jump on the internet, you'll make notes, you'll go see sessions. I've always said the moment as coaches like we are that we feel we know it all, it's time to quit. Because it should be every day should be a learning activity. Over in the States, we have a convention. Unfortunately, this is the first year I wasn't able to go, but it's the United Coaches Convention, and it's the biggest one in the world. And I've been.
Oh yeah, in Chicago.
That's right. It was in Chicago this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to go for many, many years over the past 20 years that I've been here. And what I found was when I was originally starting out as a coach, I was taking like 50% of ideas and I was like bringing them home and I was trying them out with my players. Some worked, some didn't. It depends on the delivery. Then I felt every year it started to diminish a little. But the way I explained it to my wife when she said, well, is it worth the money now for you to go? I went, well, even if I get 10% or 5% and I'm able to take that on board, it's going to help me grow. It's going to help me get better. And I've also said as well, even if I don't agree with something, maybe I can twist it, I can bend it, I can make it a bit more flexible in order to help me get better as a coach. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. We have the same here. There is like per province, there is like a summit, and this year it's in March. It's the Ontario summit. And first time I was like, and that was wrong maybe to say this. It was like, okay, will I learn something? It's the Ontario from Canada. I'm from France, blah blah. We know better because we have this football culture. And after I was like, wait, in any case, I'm a new coach. First, I really started to coach like since COVID came, so 3 years ago. Secondly, even if you don't agree, like you mentioned, for me, it's the networking. Even if during the convention, you participate to like a meeting that is maybe boring, or you like, oh, okay, whatever. But in the same time, you see coaches next to you with the logo of another club or whatever. And you're like, hey guys, where are you coming from? Okay. What do you do in your club? And this networking with coaches that I saw last year when I was participating, it was really good. And that's the reason why every time there is like now a summit that talks about football, whatever it is, it can be like, I don't know, safety in football, how to attach a net or whatever, I will go, because I'm pretty sure even if it's 1%, something interesting, this 1% maybe can change something on my training method or can improve my training method. So I'm like, let's go. I'm always like ready to jump in. So I totally agree on what you just mentioned about the Chicago Summit. I wish I could go, because every time I see it on Instagram and they do a lot of promotion and it's really interesting. Many coaches from Europe are coming. Some of them I noticed from Canada too and Ontario. I noticed some of my colleagues, they went. It depends of the club too. Sometimes they can help you to pay the cost of the flight and the hotel. We didn't have this chance this year, but hopefully next year I can participate. Maybe I can meet you if you come and you go, but it will be nice. I really want to participate to this one.
That'd be great. And one thing I want to bring up that you mentioned there, that a lot of young coaches, and me included when I was young, I'm not so young anymore, but when I was younger, one of the piece of advice is that I wish I was given that you just mentioned there is the ability to network. I was always focused on the learning side, the growing, the making myself better, making myself players better. But I really think the networking is a massive one. And now, obviously, with so much disposal at our fingertips with like TikTok and Twitter, like we met via Twitter, for example, or X as it's called now. It's definitely something that really helps people grow as a profession. Sometimes you can grow too fast, if you will, before you've even developed and you've got better by getting overexposed when you're not simply not ready for that exposure. But I do encourage all of our young coaches out there to network as much as can, build bridges. It's a very small world that we live in. So you need as many friends as possible within football or soccer. So that's my piece of advice. But I'm interested, Rod, if a young coach turned up at your doorstep and really was starting from scratch, what advice would you give them?
First, I will echo with what you mentioned because I'm still a young coach, and that's the beauty. And in the same time, sometimes it can be the flip side, the other. No, how you say it in English? The flip side and the backside.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Yeah, that, social media. Oh, it's dangerous, but in the same time, that is why I'm into it, especially Instagram and X and YouTube with the video, because I always publish them publicly. Because if it can help somebody, I'm here. Sharing is caring. I see that sometimes, and because you mentioned it, it's a small world. Sometimes you talk to other coaches and they don't want to talk to you too much because they're like, oh, why is coming to me? He wants to take my spot, right? So I don't want to talk to him.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's normal. Maybe it's not just in football. Maybe in real life, when you try to find the job, is the same. But I mean, I'm trying to just help somebody. So if a young coach is coming, and some of them, especially from France, are coming because they are asking me question about Canada. So they are like asking me question about Canada. Hey, how is it coaching in Canada? Do you think I can try and come? So I'm always open to discuss with anybody, whatever they want to ask me, whatever the experience they have. Some of them, they have more experience, more diplomas than me, but I'm okay with it. I will just like be a sponge and take the information. But if a young coach come to me, I will just tell him like, be open-minded, start somewhere, me, when I started, I didn't have experience, but I had the passion like I always have now. And, like a sponge, just take the information, try to work on your own, take some information, but in the same time, like I mentioned, don't go crazy. Oh, because I saw it on Instagram, right? I will do the same exercise with my U12, and it's like a professional intensity exercise from Liverpool and Arne Slot, and you have your U12, U11 that they're doing the same. No, it's just like, open mind, know where you are coming from, know where you want to go, and just take the information from, mentors, audiobooks, books, podcasts like yours, this type of thing, and slowly but surely will come. It's just, you have to be patient sometimes, especially maybe in this world. It's not like in the real life. Oh, I want to go and find another job. Okay, go and try to find the other. Yeah, but I need the UFRB because the UFRB, if you don't have it, it's not applicable. And this sometimes it's a little bit frustrating because you want to progress. Maybe you are better than even a UFRB or even UFRA. I don't know. But because the spot in the federation of whatever country in Europe doesn't accept you, or they are fully it's full, you can't do it, so you have to wait another year. So during 1 year, you can't do the job that you were expecting to do or you wanted to do. That sometimes can hurt you. So that is why you have to be patient, work on your body language too sometimes, especially with players. But yeah, that will be the different advices that I will mention to young coach.
I agree. I feel that the biggest thing I would say to someone who wants to get involved in our line of work, you really have to have a massive passion for it. It's got to kind of engulf your life in a bit. And I've
Yeah,
always expected people to say, like, listen, you do have to have those switch off moments. You got to go play with your kids. You got to go talk to your wife. We've seen it even on the big end with Guardiola getting a divorce.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it can really take over your life. But why I try to encourage it is the fact, let it take over your life in a good way. Like, want to read that book, want to listen to that podcast, want to volunteer and assist another coach just so you can pick up some ideas. If you're and as a director of coaching myself, if you're one of those directors of coaches that are always texting your boss and saying, well, there's a cloud in the sky, is practice cancelled, then this
Oh
probably,
yeah, this I saw it a lot.
you do, yeah. And it
It's
is.
a great example. You know what, Greg? I remember last year during the summer there was a lot of storm. Sorry if a coach listened to this from my previous club, but I still remember there was some clouds, some thunderstorms, and I still remember parents texting me on Teams now. Session is cancelled, right? Session is cancelled. I was like, no, come. We'll wait and let's see if it's cancelled. And we were there. Every other team, they cancel it. They were like, oh, the storm is here. Oh, let's go. And me, I was like, wait, we go there. We are under the house, so nothing can happen. Let's see in 15, 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes after, blue sky, the birds were singing, nothing happened. The storm was like 20, 30 kilometers away. We could play. We were the only team. And I was like, guys, that's, I don't want to criticize, but that showed the passion, it's this. And when the session is done, you see that nobody's coming after you. You can have an extra 10, 15 minutes. Just do it instead of, no, okay, it's 3 p.m. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow, okay? Take the pennies and balls and put it back in the locker. I see you tomorrow.
I gotta say, I to tell a little story before we move on. One of my favorite ever sessions I had as a kid was the fact that it poured down rain and the field was as muddy as it could be. Where the fact,
Like Scotland game.
yeah, exactly right. So the ball wouldn't like move 2 yards. So what my coach decided to do, in his pearl of wisdom, we were wearing white training kits as well. So you can imagine what,
Amazing.
right? So he taught us how to do diving headers in the mud, and to this day,
Wow.
I
Interesting.
remember that to this day. I don't know if he knows the fact that it left such a lasting impression on my mind, but it was one of the most fun, and I've never laughed so much in my whole life when you stand up and you got mud from head to toe all the way down. I'm sure my dad wasn't too pleased picking me up after that, but that's a different story. Uh, Rod, this has been an amazing chat. We're just going to take one more short break and then we'll come back to finish the episode. Do you need fresh ideas for your football, soccer training? Then follow Session Share on YouTube and X. Our handles can be found in the show description. Session Share, for coaches, by coaches. Welcome back, and we're going to finish the episode. We've been talking to Rod about player development. We've been asking him his advice, and just generally having a great chat about football. Nothing better than to do that. Speaking of which, Rod, what's your favourite moment in sports? It can be anything, as a player, a fan, or a coach.
Favorite moment? Okay, it's not my favorite moment, but it's a favorite, but it's a funny moment, I think, and it's just to show you how you can be well prepared. Sometimes as a coach, you can't just handle everything. You do your part and that's it. And that's I think it's 2 years ago. So I just started to coach for 1 year. Everything is well. We have an important game because it's the new season. We are going to a higher division. And I'm like, okay, let's prepare it well. I'm doing extra session, so during the weekend, I said to the boys, you know what, if you're available, let's go to the park and let's do some fitness training, cardio and everything. So everybody responded really positively. They came, we did extra session. Tactic is all good. I do my online session, I take the time. Day of the game, I bring my computer. I do like an inspiration, video. Wow, the video is amazing. Like fight for the other tiger and everything. Everything. End of the game, 4-0 defeat.
Oh, so you did try to do like a
I
Guardiola.
still remember this video. The video looks amazing on the screen. Tactically, everybody A game. Oh yeah, coach. Yeah, when he's coming here, okay, I cover here. Okay, I take the space. Yeah, okay, perfect. I was like, hey guys, hey, we are ready like crazy. This season, it's top notch. 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. Okay, Bob. Okay, at least we try, guys.
So it doesn't
So that's
always
the
go.
thing. I still remember this week because I was so prepared. Like it was crazy. Like I wasn't prepared like this. And everything was working well. And at the end, 4-0. Okay. So at the end, sometimes it's like, even if you're the most prepared coach, whatever, you prepare everything on the bench, on the field, tactically, everything. And the other coach maybe just came. He didn't have a warm up session. Maybe he didn't do online session, didn't take extra time for the cardio. He just came. Hey guys, okay, it's the 4-4-3, 4-3-3. Here you are. Okay, guys, have a good game. And at the end, 4-0 for them. You're like, okay, what I do now? That was a funny moment. It's not my favorite one, but it's one that I always have since 2 years. Every time I'm like, and some players that now graduated or they are going to university or soccer school or whatever, and they are sometimes always texting me, coach, do you remember the day that you came like well prepared with this motivation video? I was like, yeah, I remember.
Doesn't always go to plan, does it?
No, this one, my friend, it was the most funny one and most saddest day I think of coaching, because it was like, you can prepare everything, be just prepared to not be prepared. That's it.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Rod, for your time. I've had a lot of fun and thought this conversation was extremely beneficial, and I'm sure our listeners will agree. Rod, can you tell us where our listeners can find you on the socials?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I'm really into like Instagram, X, and YouTube. YouTube, like I said, I have more than 200, I think, 50 videos, because I record every game, every session. The online session, if it's not secret, I mean, whatever, it's public, so you can find all the videos I'm doing. I believe a lot with Ted Lasso, so a lot of videos when I talk to my teams the Sunday night. I do a scenario about Ted Lasso. I did it 2 weeks ago about you losing 2-0 at halftime. You have to be, as a group, 2 or 3 players, to talk in front of your teammates. And I want to see the speech. And it's an exercise for those. Sorry if I'm taking a little bit more time. For the coaches, I think it's an exercise that is really good, because you think it's an easy exercise, but you will see that the 2 or 3 players per group at each session that I did it, they're in front of their teammates, and they are first shy, even those that they are like captain, or they are like, the goofy in the band. When they're in front of their teammates and everybody are looking at them, first, it's really like they are not loud. Secondly, they are shy. Third, they are like, the eye contact, there is no, it's like they are looking all around because they don't want to looking at you. So it was an amazing exercise that I did with them. And they realized that if you don't talk loud, nobody will listen to you during the game. So these small details, it was amazing. So that's the type of example that I publish on YouTube. So on YouTube, I'm with Coach Rod Wilhelm, and I think Instagram it's the same at Coach Rod Wilhelm, and X I think it's at Globe Rod, or Coach Rod Wilhelm too. So happy to discuss with anybody in private, or any topics about football. I'm really open minded. So just join me on the conversation.
Fantastic. And what we'll do to help our listeners as well is I will leave all of Rod's contact information and his YouTube
Yeah.
channel in the podcast description. Well, that's all about the time we have for this episode of Session Share, the Coaches Podcast. Thank you very much to Rod Wilhelm for joining us. Be sure to get in touch across all our socials to offer your opinions on everything we've discussed today. You can find the social media platforms in a podcast description below. This has been Session Share, the Coaches Podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Rod, and thank you for coaching the beautiful game.